Today we're in our family orchard pruning vase trees, so I'll tell you a bit about my techniques, but first the equipment I'm using, I've got a chainsaw here to cut some of our bigger cuts, just a long handled pair of loppers, pruning paint, a sharpening stone, and then I'm using electric pruners for the job. So when I come up to a tree, the first thing I think about is the overall shape. I don't take a big cut out of every tree, but some of them, if they're sort of not performing so well, I'll try and cut a big branch off to encourage some new growth in the future. Obviously the main goal is to open up the centre, so any of the new shoots or old shoots going in towards the middle I'm going to be cutting out, so lots of this new growth up here is going to come out, all of that, all of those. So what I'll do is I'll cut all of the stuff out of the middle first, and then talk about what my next steps are. Shoots that are going into the middle. This one here, I might tuck that around the back to try and create a new branch there. This is dead, so I'll cut this off as I'm going. Okay, so that's most of the new shoots cut off that are going into the middle. So now what I'm thinking about is branches that just don't look very productive. So if you come in here, this branch here, there's lots of old buds on it, there's not many buds on it, and I'd be keeping a whole branch on here just for the sake of a few cherries. So some of these older branches I'm going to cut off as well, and then and this is a good example as well. There's hardly any buds on this, and so I'm going to be cutting things like that off. So I'll go around and do that now. This bit here has got a wee bit of new growth out the end, so I'm going to keep that on, and hopefully it might develop next year. This has all been dead out the end of this, and again there's hardly any buds on it. Also, you know, there's a few buds on this bit here, but overall this whole bit of the branch doesn't have many buds on it if you zoom in and have a look at that. So I'm going to actually just cut this bit right back here, and again this bit here. So we'll just as I'm doing this, also what I'm going to do is sort of tip things that are hanging too far out into the row, and then any sticks that are too skinny, I'm going to sort of pencil thin. I'm going to tip the end of them to try and strengthen them up. I mean, this kind of thing is fine the way it is. It's a bit thicker, and there's some nice new growth coming out the top there, so I'll leave that. But anything sort of skinnier like this, or perhaps this one up here, I'm going to tip them as I go around, while I also cut off the less productive sticks too. This here is sort of growing in towards the middle a bit much, so I'm going to cut that off. This branch here has been held down last year, try and get it to come out of the middle, so I'm just going to keep that there so it's sort of holding down, but I'll cut this bit here off as it's going back in towards the middle.
Missed that.
Oh, push pause. If you follow me around today, you can see. So
It's just to get the light.
yeah, so this is another bit here. I'm just going to cut the whole thing off. Not looking very productive in this bit. This bit here I'm going to tuck down under there to try and, I want to keep the branch, but I don't want it growing up too high, so I've tucked it down to try and train it over this way. This whole bit of branch here is not very productive, so I'm just going to cut that off. We'll go the other way because otherwise the light won't be too good. This is hanging out quite a wee way. By the time that has fruit on it, it'll be hanging way down here. So I'm just going to cut it back here to keep that new shoot on. And the new shoot will go up that way. These branches here I'm going to keep on and tuck it in behind there. Try and create a new branch. I'll cut this one off. And over here, this bit of branch needs a bit of a tidy up, so I'm gonna cut these. This branch here has developed and it's going down, so I want to have things that are going up, at least sort of horizontal to up, so I'm going to cut that bit there, so at least these bits are facing the right direction. I've left this shoot here's grown just naturally, is sort of grown out this way, which is so it's not growing in towards the middle of the tree. That could create some good cherry buds next year, so I'm going to leave that because it's going sort of over this way in the right direction. This branch down here is really nice. There's lots of nice buds on it. It's been cut last year here and it's encouraged some new growth out here, so I'm not going to touch any of that branch there. I'll need to cut this shoot off, so it's going to shade all of this. This branch here is interesting. There's lots of nice fruit on it, but it is shading this branch under here. I'm going to leave it for this year because there is some good fruit buds on it, but perhaps next year this will be taken out to allow a lot more light down in under here. So I'm going to give it a bit of a tidy up this year just to try and stop so much leaf cover covering the branch below. I'll just get the loppers. So I'm going to cut some of these bits back that aren't so productive on it this year. That'll allow some more light to get down to this nice branch here, and then next year that branch there will probably come off. So I need to cut off a few more bits up the top here just to have a bit of a tidy up. This branch here is fairly unproductive now. As you can see on this, I've just cut off, the buds are all getting old and they're getting a bit few and far between. There's hardly any new growth out the far end, so I'll cut that off to tidy it up. This one here is not looking too good either. So this branch up here, I've identified this isn't really that great of a branch either. All of this here I'm going to be cutting off because it's not very productive, and this branch here is hanging right down. We don't want branches hanging down, so I need to cut that off as well. So by the time I've done that, you can see there's actually not a lot on that branch anymore. Above this has been kept on from last year to try and create a new branch. So what I'm actually going to do here to try and encourage some new growth into the tree is chainsaw this whole branch off up there, and it's going to let a lot more light down into the middle of the tree as well. And I'll keep this bit on to try and develop it as a new branch. So just push pause a moment and I'll get the chainsaw. Right, so I've cut that off, and now I'm going to paint some paint on this to stop disease. And so this branch left here, hopefully that develops out to be a nice strong branch. I'm just going to tuck that back over there to try and get it sort of coming this way. This branch here, I want to keep that around there, and we'll see if that might develop some nice fruit buds next year. So what I've got now left on the trees, this branch here might also be the one that comes out to take this space, but we'll leave that and see what happens next year. This one here, sort of going up in the middle, I'm going to train this back over here as well. Sometimes I find that they have died by the time next year comes around, but I'll keep them on. This is all going to grow all leaves this year, so it'll be good good food for the tree to have leaves growing up there. So the last thing I need to do is just I have a quick look up the top and just check any crossing over of any of the branches up the top, and I'm just going to take them off if they are. And I'm just going to tip some of these so that they don't hang down in the way of the tractor as well. This branch is actually crossing over from the other tree, so I'm just going to cut that back there. This branch here is coming over from the other tree as well. These branches here are sort of going into the middle a bit, so I'll just snip them back. And yeah, that's about it. So now I've got the tree nice and open in the middle. Tried to take off anything that's not looking too productive. I've taken a big cut off, which will help new branches develop next year and for the years to come. And yeah, the key things I was doing was taking out anything weak or dead, although there wasn't much dead on this one anyway, and trying to keep as much new growth as possible on the tree to help feed it for the coming season. There's a few back there. Cool, just push pause there.